Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. Today, we are continuing the saga of the entitled neighbor. You guys remember, that one Karen that thought she literally owned the entire apartment building and sent out eviction notices? Well, she's back. If you missed those, I will link the stories now, as well as in the pinned comment below. Also, I have been stockpiling these stories for a couple of months, so the stories I'm about to read span over a couple of months. But let's dive into the audacity, shall we? Entitled neighbor throws a party. I was really hoping my neighbor would settle down, but here we are. This just happened last night. Our neighbor had been quiet for a while, so my SO and I thought maybe she had finally realized that she couldn't control the whole building. Her car was parked in her spot, nobody's washing had been ripped off the line, and no new notes were stuck to doors. Until yesterday. We are the bottom unit, apartment, and we have a side door that opens out onto the shared yard. So yesterday, we were going about our day when we saw entitled neighbor and a few other people setting up tables and chairs in the yard. No big deal, it's a shared space. A few minutes later, there's a knock on the side door, and it's her. My partner opened the door. It's a glass sliding door, so she could see us, and we couldn't pretend we weren't there, unfortunately, and said the usual greetings. She told us she was having a party, and that we needed to move our wooden planters off our patio because she needed the space for her barbecue. No. Firstly, the patio is our space, not shared space. And secondly, they sit right next to the glass door, so I don't want some random looking into my living room all night while they are cooking. My partner reminded her that she doesn't own the building, and we wouldn't be moving shit. One of her friends, or family member or something, asked her WTF was she doing. They had already set up the barbecue in the yard. She huffed and walked off without saying anything else, and we thought that was it. It was not. A few hours go by, and we ended up closing the curtains for privacy. We can hear talking, laughing, and cooking. The usual sounds of a backyard party. When there's another knock on the door. I was cooking dinner, so my SO answered it again. This time, it was one of her friends / family members saying she had to use the bathroom, and that entitled neighbor told her to just knock on our door instead of walking upstairs. SO politely told her sorry, but she couldn't use ours. And then she apologized for knocking and intruding. Not even 2 minutes later, there's banging on the door, and by now, my SO is pissed. He opened the door, and entitled neighbor started to lay into him about how dare he expect her guests to go all the way upstairs, and that he needed to apologize to her and keep the door open for her guests. Now, my SO is usually a calm guy, very easy to talk to and rational, but in that moment, he lost his cool. He told her to F off and stop bothering us, to get her head out of her ass, and she can't just lay claim to everything she sees. Our bathroom wasn't hers to use. Her guests could use her bathroom, and if she knocked on our door again, he would call the police for harassment. At this point, one of her friends came over and told entitled neighbor that she needed to leave us alone and stop bugging us, then apologized and told us to have a good night. We expected the party to be loud and go on all night, but it actually wrapped up pretty early. This morning when I got up, everything had been cleaned up from the yard, but our planters had been knocked over. Joke's on her though, because we hadn't planted anything in them yet, and my cats poop in there sometimes, so now she can smell my cat's old turds. She really wanted to pet my cat. Well, I'm back. This happened this afternoon, and I'm still trying to figure out how her brain works. So, in my previous posts, I explained how my neighbor thinks she owns the building our apartment is in. Newsflash, she doesn't, and implemented some crazy ass rules, none of which were legal, and it took a few arguments, but I thought she finally understood she didn't own everything. Boy, was I wrong. So, as I am on the ground floor, I have a glass sliding door that opens entrance into the shared yard. And being that it was a nice, cool day, I had the door open with the screen door shut and locked so that I could get some fresh air into the place. Whenever that door is open, my cats will sit at it and watch all the birds outside. I was pretty tired, and my SO suggested we both lay down and have a nap while we wait for the washing machine to finish. So we did. We were woken up about an hour later to a rattling noise in the lounge room. I thought maybe one of the cats had tried to climb up the screen door again, so I got up to scold them. Instead, I found my entitled neighbor trying to open my screen door, like really pulling on it, to the point the whole door was shaking, and I'm pretty sure she was just trying to break it open. I asked her what she was doing, and she told me she had seen my cats through the door and wanted to pet them, but the door was stuck. I told her it wasn't stuck, it was locked because this is a private residence, and she can't just walk in here whenever she pleased. She kept trying to open the door while yelling that I can't keep my cats from people if they want to pet them. I repeated that this was my home, and she couldn't just walk in whenever she wanted. She started to yell at me whilst still trying to open the door when my SO came over and said he would call the police if she didn't stop. She finally let go of the door, glared at us, and stormed off. Needless to say, we are ordering a camera for that door now. And yes, my cats are microchipped. Edited to add, thought I might add this as it's been in a few comments. Where I live, the police aren't very helpful, unless it's actually happening. And I didn't want to turn my back on crazy to go get my phone to call the police. My SO only got out of bed to help later on because he thought I was talking to the cats, then quickly realized I wasn't when the shouting started. She left too quickly for the police to be called. And that's why we are now getting a camera for that door. It's been too quiet. You guys know the drill. My entitled neighbor bought the unit above us and thought she bought the whole building, yada yada yada. Anyway, it's been quiet for a few weeks. I normally hear her arguing with another neighbor all the time, but lately, nothing. The other day, I got home from work and saw a young man standing on her balcony. He was quite friendly, called out hello to me, and introduced himself as her nephew, and explained why he was there. She broke her foot. Apparently, at the last family dinner, she tripped over a dog and broke her foot, and is now staying with family because she can't get up and down the stairs. He said he was house sitting because she said that she didn't trust her neighbors, but he admitted we are all really nice and quiet, and maybe she's just crazy. She is, kid. Entitled neighbor is back and wants me to isolate elsewhere. Well, she's back. Was hoping she just wouldn't come back after she broke her foot and would just graciously give her apartment to her nice, not problematic nephew. But I guess we aren't so lucky. Anyway, a few days ago, I tested positive for the much whispered pathogen and have been doing the right thing and staying inside. My partner was on the back lawn hosing down a few things. I was inside watching through the sliding door when I heard entitled neighbor's balcony door open and she started yelling at him to get off her lawn. He told her to shove it. It's not her lawn. And could she please stop yelling because I'm inside with the vid and it doesn't help the migraines. Well, that was a mistake. I heard her storming down the stairs and she starts banging on our door screaming that I'm diseased and I need to isolate somewhere else before she gets sick. And if I don't leave, she was going to call the police. I told her through the door that she has been told repeatedly that she can't kick us out of our own place that we own. I am staying inside and she could call the police if she wanted, but she would more than likely be fined herself for wasting their time. According to my SO who was coming in, she looked downright murderous, but once she saw him, she took off upstairs. Haven't heard anything from her since, or anything from the police, so we think it was just an empty threat. I was so tempted to open the door, because, like they say, sharing is caring. Great googly moogly of the highest order. Yes, because one who is trying to avoid contracting the he who shall not be named pathogen should definitely run down and bang on the infected one's door makes perfect sense. This neighbor must have a disorder or a complex or something. Surely. That's the only thing I can think of. And I think that her family knows this, which is why they pulled her away and apologized for her behavior in the first story. Or maybe I'm giving her too much credit and she's really just entitled and delusional. But I'm just trying to rationalize it and come up with something to make sense of all of this peculiar behavior. What do you guys think? But regardless, I feel like she's done enough harassment and attempted breaking and entering now that it's enough to constitute for a cease and desist. I don't know the laws in Aussie-land, but you would think they could do something about this Karen's harassment. Anything. This woman is out of control. But anyway, I'm sure this is not the end of this, and I hope you're enjoying this neighbor saga. As infuriating as it is pretty entertaining. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!